What's up, guys? Welcome back to Inside the Line. Sorry for a little late start here, but we are here. We're ready to rock. A ton of NBA today. We're going to go through some MLB opening day, early day picks from Jake as well. Lots of model value to be had there. But before we get into MLB, we will get to all of that. We're going to go into the NBA first. We're going to talk about just our picks. Then we're going to send Steven to the chat to get to your guys' stuff because I know there's just a ton of content to go through today. Before we do that, guys, let's take a look at yesterday. I almost snubbed you, Jake, of your college baseball. We almost ended the show and I forgot to give Jake his college baseball picks. And thank God we didn't do that because we went 3-0 yesterday. 2+ money picks as well. 2 class to Jake.
Yep.
Let's go.
I was due.
Yeah, fair. And, I mean, NBA 2-2, can't complain there. But Steph Curry was
money.
Yeah. Hate to see it, but it's all right. Overall, obviously a good profitable day there for the team. All right, let's get into the NBA first, and then we're going to send Steven to the chat to answer all your questions. But we're going to rip through these games. We got 12 games to get through today. We're going to start with Golden State headed to Orlando here.
Yeah, so, okay, real quick. Andrew Wiggins over 16.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Model has it almost 19. Nice. It's got a stronger road trend than home. Strong last month, 19.5, 8-4 over. He looks like he's more returning to last season's form in terms of production, where he would have been a lock last season when he was 40-3 at 7 over this number.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, fair enough. I like the Wiggins play as well. Head over to Brooklyn, going to Washington. What a beautiful, awesome game that I'm sure we'll have a lot of.
Yeah, I was on FD the other day when the number was 4.5, and so I'm going to go with the 3.5 number. He didn't play that game; he was a late scratch. I actually like the fact that Tyus Jones is out. But Kuzma's back, and so Kuzma is obviously a leading scorer, so it could be good for his assist numbers. Average is over 3.5, and the over is over 50% for the season. I'm going to buy low on a 5-game under stretch that he had because he snapped out of it with 3 straight 5-assist games.
Mm-hmm. All right. I like that there. Again, any questions you have for these games, put them in the chat. We're going to get to them after we get through our picks as well. We'll go to Cleveland, headed to Charlotte here. Cleveland 10.5-point favorites, pretty big number, but Charlotte, nothing to really play for now.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with Jared Allen. I wanted what I hope is a layup, a -230, because in the recap screen, we tend to focus on, overall record as opposed to the units. So maybe this is the best way to get to hopefully 7-5 or better. Models at 1.2 picks. It's basically around over 80% in Sims. You need at least a good 70% value at this steep price. Mm-hmm. I like the fact that he's had no blocks his last 2 games. He has not gone 3 straight games without a block since December 2nd, December 11th, where he had a 4-game stretch.
Oh, wow. All right, yeah, I guess that -230 makes sense then. Portland headed to Atlanta. Dejounte Murray over 32.5 points and rebounds. I, out of curiosity, would like to see Clint Capella's numbers after this as well. But what do we like about Murray here? Yeah,
we have a lot of some models at over 36. So I am feeding his season trends. They're not particularly compelling. But the last 8 games, he's 5-3 over. He had big games versus Portland just historically in points and rebounds. Atlanta averages 7 more at home, so this is going to be a higher scoring game than normal.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. All right, we'll move on here. We'll go to the Clippers, head to Philadelphia, the return of James Harden here. Finding your own way to fade him in my good name.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the crowd's going to be, I assume, be all over him. Maybe Daryl Morey will be yelling at him. I'm fading his road trend, which is actually averages fewer turnovers on the road. Banking on playoff James Harden crumbling like he tends to do in high-pressure situations. I think he's good for an above-average turnover day because Philadelphia forces the 4th most turnovers in the league. Prior to his recent stretch of 3 straight unders, the over was 10-3. He's not gone 4 straight games under this number in 2 seasons. And point guards who average roughly a comparable number of turnovers average just 1 when playing Philadelphia on their home court. But then when they're playing at Philadelphia are averaging 2.6. So maybe that hostile crowd that, present company excluded, but people in Philadelphia fans are crazy.
Yeah, I've heard that. I heard they're the worst type of people. Can we go with the model for this game here? What is Buddy Hield's lines at?
Buddy Hield in Philadelphia. Blah, blah, blah. Where is it? I'm blanking. I can't read my own. Okay, there it is. Buddy Hield, we are projecting 13 points, 3 rebounds, and 2.5 assists. 19 points, rebounds, assists, and not a huge game. I'm not sure what his line is. It looks like the line was off the board for our feed.
All right. Yeah, I'm not seeing it right now either. I don't know why.
I don't know if his status is in doubt, probably.
I've just been so off this team, even though it's my own team, that I've been hyper fixated on so many other teams here. So let's move on to some of those here. We'll go New York headed to Toronto here, 13.5-point favorites right now. Yeah,
so Olynyk, it was available at 5.5 with a steeper -142. I think most books were at 6.5. So models at 6.6. I don't like it at 6.5. I do like it at 5.5. So Toronto's been getting demolished on the boards. And I just think that, not that I think New York's going to demolish Toronto again, especially with Mitchell Robinson probably back. But Olynyk is the center. He is the leading right now as their leading rebounder most games. So I just figured they're going to say, like, you got to crash the boards. We can't get out rebounded by 20. So this is going to need it. So the over, since Barnes and Poeltl have been out, Olynyk's gone over 6-3.
There you go. I'm going with the center on the other side here. I took Isaiah Hartenstein at even money to go over 2.5 assists. I've had some luck with assists and centers, so counting on that here. I think this line hasn't exactly adjusted to his pre-injury minutes. The rest has. Like, his points and rebounds have gone back up. His assists haven't, but he's still gone over this number 4 of his last 5 games with his restricted, like, mid-20 minutes. So Toronto's Toronto. I think this could be a spot anyone could get 3 assists here. So at even money, that is part of my my new journey, my new challenge that you guys will be seeing coming live to Twitter probably quickly after the show. Little sneak peek. Yeah, but we'll move on here to what do we got
Rudy
next?
Gobert. Yeah,
Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, I'm going to go over 26.5 points and rebounds. The model is closer to 30, so he has a solid home trend with a nice average and a solid over. I was worried about in this game where Minnesota is so heavily favored that it would hurt his production. But I looked into when Minnesota's a 12-point favorite or more, he averages actually 30.4 points and rebounds, over 7-3, and he averages more minutes in these situations. So they look like they like Gobert, get shots and be more of an offensive force and not just focus on defense and rebounding when they have an easy matchup.
Yeah, this is actually a good shout in the chat. Pistons to go under 105 or 100.5.
Yeah, model likes that a lot. Only 94 points. I had that originally as my best pick, but my team totals have kind of been whiffing recently, so I got scared.
I mean, Minnesota's defense is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's the best in the league, and but I'm worried about the backdoor cover. I'm worried about like garbage time scoring.
Yeah, I'm taking Jalen Duren double-double. You can get at -107. I know he hasn't played the past few games, but if he's either going to play and play all out tonight or he's not going to play, and then it's a wash, which is fine. But we were talking about this earlier. He just had a not double-double, then a double-double, and he's never gone. He's always had at least 2 double-doubles in a row since the beginning of February. So even the games he hasn't gotten a double-double, it's been like 9-9, or like he's right there. So at -107, it just felt like you got to play that there. Again, these guys are going to play all 4 quarters pretty heavy, I assume. All right, let's move on here. We'll go to Houston headed to OKC. SGA has just been ruled out, so that could be some good things for OKC player props, which we always seem to find ourselves on here.
Yeah, I probably would have been on Giddey points, rebounds, and assists based on how productive he's been and assuming that he'll get even more minutes. But I'm going to stick with Dylan Brooks because I thought this was interesting. Yeah, the model's at 1.6, which isn't great value, but his road trend is actually okay, 17-14 over. I like the fact that he shot 0 for 8 from 3 his last game because he's actually responded well to horrible 3-point shooting nights. I'm pretty sure I bet him on some of these horrible nights and then got scared off the next day. So this is my opportunity to get back. So he was 3 for 6 after 0 for 5, 2 for 6 after 0 for 6, and 4 for 5 after 0 for 3. And for whatever reason, he's had a high average versus OKC the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I'm taking him just in a different way. I'm going over 11.5 points here. Feels pretty correlated, but if you can score 11 points in your last game going 0 for 8 from deep, I have to imagine that you can put up 12 points doing whatever you did in the field and then shooting 1 or 2 threes. So I like that too. Again, just another supporting him in a bounce back spot here and his trends against OKC. And how much does SGA not playing potentially affect this?
I think it's going to keep. We had the game at like 14 OKC by 14 points, and then now it's down to 10.5. I think it's a better chance of keeping it close and keeping Houston in the game.
Maybe a little more optimism. Maybe a little more optimism for Houston. Maybe they'll put a little more pep in their step. All right, let's head over to the Lakers going to Memphis. We're looking at Jaren Jackson Jr. here.
Yeah, I got over 1.5 blocks the other day, and I saw plus money still on this. You know, a year ago, it would have been a lock when he averaged nearly 3 a game and 53 and 16. So it looks like he's returning to not quite last year's production, but more like last season, where over the last month, he's played 10 games and his average is over 2 again. And for whatever reason, centers that average 1.2 to 2 blocks, they're in 7 of the combined games with various players, they average 0.6 blocks at LA, but they're averaging 2.2 blocks when LA's visiting. Mm-hmm. Don't exactly know why, but that's a pretty interesting trend.
Yeah. Also, shout out to our boy Austin Reeves last night for me. Tough spot for Steven. This guy who never has assists, has 4 assists on the first, 4 offensive plays of the game. It was absurd.
I saw when I turned on my phone because I was, for me, my wife partying. I saw him he made a shot, and then I saw him with 4 assists, and I saw 4 made field goals from his teammates. I was like, that sucks.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That is like, I mean, that's 1 in a million. You just got to eat that. That's tough. All right. Never fading Austin Reeves again. Moral of the story here. Let's move on. We'll go to Indiana going to Chicago here. Public backing the under. Smart money seems like it's on the over.
Yep. But I like the fact that the smart money is on the over because I hope this is a higher scoring game, because one of my points is that I like any time at this point in the season where a proven player like Vucevic has a line that is well under his average. Very strong season trend, 39-28 over, very strong last month. And there's buy low value because his last 3 games, he's only scored 9, 14, and 16. But before that, his last 3 games, he's 17-4 over. Again, the team total is +5 higher than the what Chicago typically averages at home. So I kind of like this as a condition that he should have at least an average game, which in this case is well over 16.5 points.
All we can ever ask for is at least average. I think that's a very valid thing to ask.
I'm not sure if people could put in the chat why he had a good game rebounding wise. I'm not sure why he only had 5 field goal attempts versus versus Washington. But
they're just such spook games against Washington. You just have to throw them away.
Yeah.
We move on. We'll go to San Antonio, headed to Utah here, going with Lauri Markkanen over 23.5 points.
Yeah, I also like Utah on the money line. I mean, we have spread value, but but I prefer them just to win outright as a safer bet because you can get a not too juiced up money line. Markkanen delivered the other day for me, so I'm going to go back to him. Again, I'm thinking he's going to be played more like he did last season, where again this is a pretty solid lock. He does have a higher average at home, even though his over under quirkily, is that a word? Weirdly enough, is actually worse than on the road. Came back from injury recently, and he started in 2 games 1 for 14 from 3-point range, but he seems to break out of that slump with 6 for 9 his last game versus Dallas. Mm-hmm. So, and he's got a high average versus the Spurs last 2 seasons.
Right. I like it. I don't have anything to say here. It looks like we got B Mills was saying they were saying it was Holmes being in the starting lineup in that game for Washington. That answers your question.
Yeah, but I didn't think he's like that much of a defensive force. Anyway.
Yeah. All right, we're doing good on time here, Steven. We got one more game here. Phoenix headed to Denver. I get a lot of the public's on Denver. This does feel like a spot where they could kill them here.
Well, I mean, Phoenix got a big win at Denver on March 5th, I believe. So I think it's one of those deals where you're not going to the line was 8.5. So that was a big win for Phoenix, but at the same time, these teams aren't that radically different. So that's the line it's hard to imagine Phoenix in a relatively short time frame covering 2 games at Denver. I think is what people are banking on.
Yeah,
I do like Durant over 4.5 assists because it's plus money. Again, I'm not going to overthink 5.5 assist average, 21-12 over on the road. I am worried, and with a buy low value based on his last 7, with a pretty low average. But this is the one that concerned me. I'm still going to go with this because, again, plus money at 4.5. But when they are underdogs this season, Phoenix, the over is just 4-10, even though he's been averaging plenty of minutes, 37 minutes, and just 3.7 assists. So I was hoping to not see that, but
it's okay. We won't look.
Never everything. Yeah.
Still plus money play. That's past my bedtime, so I'm going to be staying away from that game here. I'm more about the 7 o'clock tip-offs over here.
Yeah.
All right. That was a lot of NBA, 16 minutes. That's pretty good. We got some MLB to get through. I'm going to send you to the chat, Steven. If you have questions, might be best to just re-ask them again so Steven can see them. Going to bring in Dylan was asking for college baseball. Jake, here he is. We're going to be talking MLB, though, here. Some opening day, please. There's no college baseball today, is there?
No, there was like a couple mid-major games, but nothing with value. I think UConn Northeastern was like the one game that DK had odds for, and that game started at 3. So nothing really in college baseball today. There'll be a couple games, I'm sure, tomorrow. I'm sure BYU will play tomorrow against Thursday, and we'll have a decent amount on Friday. But right now it's MLB time.
Oh, yeah, it's MLB time. We'll start with – let's go with the Padres first. That's a 4:10 start. So that'll start
Steven, can you share the MLB page because my screen's a little laggy right now.
Well, let's let Steven use it. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm going with the Padres versus the Giants. I think the Padres have a little bit of an advantage because they have played some regular season games this season. They already played 2. Yes, it was in Korea.
No.
They split the series, but you hear me?
Yeah, sorry. I think I was lagging.
Okay, all good. But I think minus 110 is pretty good value on Caesars here for the Padres. Logan Webb has gotten hit around his last couple of starts of spring training, even though I don't really buy into spring training starts. But what I do look into is the Padres and Yu Darvish are better at home than on the road, and this is pretty good value for a home opener.
We'll move to a night game here. We'll talk about it more tomorrow, but this might be the best value you'll get, so we'll mention it anyway. The Rangers money line here playing the Cubs.
Yeah, the World Series champs against the Cubs. I do like the Cubs. I do like Justin Steele, but this Rangers team with my guy Wyatt Langford, they're looking pretty dangerous. And Justin Steele, he's been good, but he's gotten hit around quite a bit in some of these starts. He racks up strikeout numbers, but he is susceptible to getting hit. So we do have good value on him on a player prop that I will have later. But I like the value on the Rangers here, minus 111 on Pinnacle.
We'll talk about another team we've been pretty high on, the Mariners. We like their do we like their team total under or over this season? I forget.
Over. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I was like, wait, I might have just backed myself into a corner here. We do like the Mariners against the Red Sox.
Over 87.5 wins is a pretty good value for the Mariners. I just want to get this because I think this is probably the best value, minus 166 on FanDuel you're going to get because most books have this at around minus 180 now. I just think the Mariners are the better team with Luis Castillo versus Brian Bayo, who's a pretty good young pitcher, but he sometimes struggles, and Luis Castillo is one of my picks to win the Cy Young. So I like the Mariners here.
All right, fair enough. Let's get into some props here. I'm going to be learning a lot of MLB players the next few weeks, so bear with me. Tell me about Mr. Parker here.
Parker Meadows. So interesting enough, the Tigers made a trade for Austin Meadows a couple of years ago from the Rays, and Austin Meadows I think played like a grand total of like 30 games in 3 years. But his little brother Parker, just in like 20 games, has already done as much as his older brother did. in the couple of seasons there. I know that Austin did deal with other stuff, but I'm going with over half a run. And if you look at his game log, he finished the season really, really hot in terms of scoring runs. I think it was like 12 of his last 14 games. He scored a run, again, plus 155 is good value, and he's going to hit early in the lineup. So he's going to have plenty of opportunities, and his splits were decent against lefties. That's the biggest concern. But Crochet is a converted reliever, so I'm not sure how deep he's going to go in that game. And also the White Sox traded a lot of their players. Yeah, so we have him scoring a run as second behind Javi Baez, and I would not bet on any Javi Baez props. And we have the team scoring 5 runs in this game. So I think Meadows is a really good choice to score a run, and a plus 155. I think there's plenty of value considering he went 8-5 on the road to score a run last year.
Mm-hmm. All right. I like the value there. I wish I saved that for my betting challenge that just got released, but you know what? We got plenty of days kind of for more plus money plays to come. All right, let's move on here. We'll go to the Astros pitcher here, Framber Valdez.
Yeah, so if you look at Steven, you could look at Framber Valdez, his game logs and his stats. If you look and you click his strikeouts and the prop analysis, this is pretty crazy. If you look at 5.5, you'll see his prop analysis. I think it's 29-8 at home. I guess it's not working right now, but his prop analysis, if you look at it, it's 29-8 at home compared to like 50-50 on the road. Let's see if it works.
We'll bring it back in.
Sorry.
There we go. Yeah, look at that. 29-8 at home compared to 16-16 on the road, and 2-0 versus the Yankees last year, where he averaged 8 strikeouts. So getting him at home, opening day, he's going to be amped up. 29-8, it's a pretty crazy number. That's almost 80%. So I really like that he's at home with the line just at 5.5. You'd think that it could be 6.5 since he's at home. But minus 112 at Bet River is pretty good value here.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why my thing here is not showing all the money lines and over-unders. You got to tell me if there's a bug.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
We'll get there. It's early in the season. We got plenty of time.
Yeah, I figured it was just because it was before the season started. There's something up.
No, that doesn't make sense. I hate that.
Yeah. We'll go back to this Cubs game here. I guess this is pretty correlated with your money line play here, but we'll go with Justin Steele to allow over 4.5 hits.
Yeah, so if you look at Steele's game log, goes deep in the games, but he's susceptible to giving up hits. I think it was 9 of his last 10 games last season. He gave up more than 5 hits. The one game where he didn't, he gave up just 2 hits, but you could see he tends to give up some hits. And he's going up against a Rangers team that could really, really hit. So it's going to be a tough matchup, especially on the road against the defending champs.
Mm-hmm. All right. The more you know. I'm learning something new every day. Let's go to Corey Seager here, going back to the Rangers. Sorry, I probably could have put this in a better order, but again.
Yeah, all good. Corey Seager, over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. This is where I think he's downgraded a little because it's a lefty going against a lefty, but his splits against lefties are pretty good for a left-handed hitter. I think he hit like 313 last year. And it's kind of like another correlated play right here with Justin Steele over hits allowed and Corey Seager to get a hit and maybe score a run or get an RBI. We have him almost closer to 3 than 2 in terms of hits, runs, and RBIs.
Remind me to have that stat added to this. We can scrap a lot of DFS stuff because no one's playing that anymore now that they can bet legally.
Yeah.
So I'll get rid of some of this junk that we don't really care about and focus on the other lines. If anyone has a special request for a projected line that they don't know, enter it in the chat.
Yeah, let us know. All right. Sorry, Steven. I'm running in circles here. We're going to go back to the Astros here with Alvarez, taking him over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs as well.
Yeah, Yordan Alvarez. I think this hit 60% of the time last year. Hits, runs, and RBIs over 1.5. But he ended the year on a tear where he was getting 2 hits pretty much every game in the postseason. And I think I played this pretty much every game during the postseason. And Nestor Cortez is coming off an injury. He hasn't played He didn't pitch a ton last year. He hasn't been great in spring training. I think he's had some games where he's given up a bunch of hits. I think he gave up 600 runs in his last start or 2 starts ago. And Alvarez is pretty good against lefties for a lefty. So another left-on-left matchup. But I'm not sure how long Cortez is going to go in this game because he's facing a really good Astros lineup. And Alvarez is just so dangerous every time he goes to the plate. And if they walk him because they pitch around him, he could score runs. That's why I like the hits, runs, and RBIs combo right here. He's 2 for 6 with a home run in his career against Nestor Cortez. So that's just 333. Not a big sample of data, but I still like that.
As far as like opening day relative to something like playoff baseball, I mean, are people pumped up for opening day, or is it like a scary, you don't know how to handle it?
Now, people are pumped up for opening day. I feel like it's not as big of a deal.
Players, I mean, not like the fans.
Oh,
like,
the players?
Are they taking the game seriously or no?
Yeah, I think so, because it's a 162-game season, and by the time it gets to 100 games, I think they hate it. They just ask Anthony Rendon, who doesn't like playing baseball, for a player getting paid $30 million per year.
Sounds like Jokic.
But I think that I think early in the season is when they're the most amped up, where they're fresh. They're coming off a decently long off season where they have off season surgeries. They're fresh, and then after I'd say between 50 and 100 games, they're like, why do we have to go out there again?
Mm-hmm.
One thing I noticed a lot of times, like the over-unders, obviously, because it's usually aces pitching, that the over-unders are very low on opening day, first couple of days of the season.
They're very
historically,
low.
Does the under hit, high, or is there a lot of overs as a result because they're too much?
I go through True Media and look at that. I think I did a bit of research into that last year. I think it ended up being closer to 50-50 in terms of over-unders hitting. So I think even the lower numbers, like the 7.5, tend to go more unders, and then the 8.5 tend to go more overs. So like the really good pitching matchups where you think you could get some value with the line so low, those still tend to go under.
Okay. All right. Good to know. We got one more play here. I don't want to leave this one out.
So Derek, the model does adjust for getting
it does. It adjusts for it looks for players who are older and have a negative trajectory.
Yeah.
So if they're declining for 2 years straight and you're like 30 plus, then it'll assume the decline going to continue.
Yeah. Big Three, like the Big Three basketball tournament. But if you're talking about baseball, it does. Yeah.
You're inserting yourselves in the conversation. You don't know about that.
As far as the unders there, we were talking about, the model likes all overs initially because what we're just talking about, and so I wouldn't put much stock in our over picks in the first 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
And then this is kind of another one in the same game against Framber Valdez, another correlated thing where good pitching matchup. Trevino struggled with injuries last year. I think he barely hit above 200 after having a pretty good season in his first year with the Yankees. He is a defensive first catcher. So he surprised with his bat a couple of years ago, but last year he kind of went maybe best to the mean. But plus 140, not to get a hit, I think is pretty good value considering he's probably going to hit 9th in the lineup. We have Austin Wells as the starter. They just announced that Trevino was the starter, so I'll go ahead and run that after. But I looked into Austin Wells' projection that we have him for under half a hit. So it's similar that he's going to hit the bottom of the lineup, and he's not going to get many plate at bats. And there's a good chance he gets pinch hit for, especially if the Yankees are down to the Astros.
Wow, this vocabulary is all unlocking memories in my brain that I forgot about. All right, but I will take your word for it. There's a lot of MLB. Again, we'll have some more plays tomorrow, too, when we go through. We'll have some live betting opportunities tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we'll have the show. I think there's plenty of 4 o'clock games. I think there's like 5 or 6, maybe 7. So, we'll have plenty of live betting opportunities and then maybe some live betting for college basketball as well. So, it's a big day tomorrow with everything's going on. Yeah.
I know. Everyone's got to get ready. We got to get a good night's sleep here. Big things starting this weekend. I am trying to get myself a plane ticket to Phoenix, betting starting with $30. And then the producers at CBS said they put me on air if I could gamble my way across the country. So if anyone has some great plays, you let me know on Twitter because the journey starts tonight. So I'm going to need some luck with that and some prayers. All right. Again, like Jake just said, we got MLB tomorrow. We got live betting MLB tomorrow. We got some more Sweet 16 plays for you guys, some NBA as well, I believe, with 2 games, but I'll be damned if we don't hit them. So good luck with all your bets tonight. I know that was a lot. Get ready for tomorrow. We'll see you guys then.